and welcome once again to 𝐈𝐕 Drips of Wisdom, your dose of entrepreneurial inspiration. This is more than just a channel, it's a movement, a bold initiative where we spotlight nurses, healthcare professionals, digital enthusiasts, and innovators who are doing big and amazing things beyond the bedside. And we share powerful stories that not just inspire you, but push you to dream bigger. Take the step. Today is an incredible trailblazer all the way from Kenya, 𝐭𝐻𝐢. I hope I got the pronunciation correctly.
Yes, you did. You tried.
Okay, so the fun fact is I've actually been to East Africa. Yes, I got my nursing training from Uganda. I've spent 5 years, as a foreign trained nurse from Uganda. So the next time I'm actually visiting East Africa, definitely Kenya is going to be the number one on my list. So yes, 𝐭𝐻𝐢𝐬 is actually a nurse and emergency specialist, digital health advocate with over 5 years of experience. And today he's going to be sharing incredible insights of his journey from bedside to actually moving into digital health and beyond. So before we dive in, I would like you to introduce yourself to our audience. Yes, over to you.
Thank you so much, Love. Love, I feel honored and I'm privileged to be here with you today and to be in your space and witness the great work that you are doing, both on LinkedIn and other social media platforms, and even for your upcoming website. It's such it's huge work. It's huge work, and joining you, it shows that our voices are reaching masses. They are reaching the right people, and it's such let me say it's an honor again. And also you and I coming together, I'm sure we are going to share a lot of insights. We are going to learn from each other just to see how nursing it is, and what better that we can do beyond the bedside setting, and also beyond the clinical setting. So I am looking forward to this session. I'm also happy to hear that you are in you had your studies, your nursing studies in Uganda. Uganda is not so far from Nairobi.
Yeah, thank you. So moving forward, Joe, can you take us back to the moment when you discovered that your journey, you realized that your journey is beyond the bedside? Can you take us back to that moment? When did it all begin?
Oh, great. It's an interesting one, and unexpected one. Actually, never thought there's a space beyond the bedside, beyond the bedside. And actually, the only space I thought nurses can prosper and thrive is NGO, which now meant that they were not in the bedside nursing. So if 5 years ago you asked me what is bedside nursing, I'll tell you maybe it's a nurse who is working with an NGO or working with an international organization doing a certain mission. But after I finished college, that is in 2021, I now, of course, just like everyone does, I started looking for work. So there are various job boards in the country. One of them is called Fuzu, and I uploaded my profile, my resume, and just a description of who I am. And randomly one day, I think it was even on a Saturday, I received a call, and I was being called for an interview. I had not applied for the job. Somebody had just seen my profile, and I think they were interested and they wanted to know more about me. So the company that I was being called for, it's a tech company. Their main work is telemedicine. That's where they offer telemedicine and virtual consultations. And my role was coming in to be as a nurse lead in one of the quote unquote medical centers medical hubs that they were to build. So I was to oversee the care that was being offered and have a follow up. For example, if one did a teleconsultation and the doctor said maybe you need IV medication, my work was to ensure that the medication was administered either by me or by the team of the nurses that I was working with. So that was my first entry into the technical space, technology. Let me just say digital health in short. And I was fascinated that there are spaces where nurses and doctors can offer care. Beyond the hospital walls, beyond the clinical settings. So I got fascinated, and then within the company we had a realignment, and I was moved completely directly from clinical care, and my work was to work on the platform that we were building. We were building an e-commerce for healthcare practitioners and healthcare and for small clinics where they could come and list their services, and people would request for their services just the same way they request for Uber. So my work was to help these clinicians and these providers to onboard on the platforms, so to clean assessments of their facilities. And the other role was now working on the platform platform because now the medical team, I was there with another doctor. We were three of us, two doctors and myself. So our main work was not to work on product descriptions. How are we going to lay these services or explain this service on the platform or on the app that's in such a way any layman can be able to understand it. So that was my entry into the technical space, and also that was my entry into non-bedside clinical roles. And I think from the point I drew quite a lot of interest in digital health, in healthcare innovation, in healthcare technology. And since then, I think I've never been the same. Right now, I'm still involved in direct clinical setting, but most of my work revolves around health tech, and that is one thing that I love. And this now led me even to be vocal, to write about there's something more for nurses and doctors or healthcare professionals apart from now being in the hospital setting.
Oh, that's really inspiring and incredible. Anyone who is watching this would definitely be inspired by your journey. Like, you've done impactful and incredible things.
Yes. Thank you.
So, you're the founder of the Beyond the Bedside nursing movement. Actually, that was what got my attention, because whatever I'm doing now on LinkedIn and beyond LinkedIn is actually drawn from the perspective that I believe that nurses and healthcare professionals can actually make a global impact beyond the bedside. So when I saw your profile and I went through it, and I saw your work, beyond the bedside, that got my attention. I was like, I need to have a conversation with this person. Yes. What's the why behind that movement, and what impact has this movement made so far?
The why, I think the first why is the realization that nurses can thrive in other roles beyond the bed, beyond being in a clinical setting. That was my first realization about into the field or into the movement that we have at the Beyond Bedside nursing movement. But also, I had an interaction with a nurse I hold with high regard. She was my preceptor in when I was training, and then we ended up working together as colleagues. And when she was retiring or when she was exiting, we were very close to each other. So she would explain a lot of things to me. But the time she was going home, during her last few days working with her, she told me, now I am going home. I have this pension amount. The amount was good, to be honest. The pension amount was good. But now the pension amount, you have only been able to realize such amount after working in the field for over 30 years. So you have been sustained by a salary where you're literally living that is hand to mouth. You're living paycheck to paycheck. So what is the fulfillment of being in the medical field? I remember this is one of the premier facilities in the region, in the East African region. So of course there's the pride of saying I work in a certain facility. But what more is it? When nurses talk about unfair ratios, the hospital is not immune or the institution is not immune. When you talk about leadership challenges, the hospital is not immune. They exist. And I came to realize that whatever is happening in Kenya is whatever is happening in Nigeria. It is whatever is happening in South Africa. So one key thing is nurses need to be fulfilled within their role. And us waiting for promotion to come, it must not come. And when you're going to retire, even if you're given like 15 million Kenyan shillings, what are you going to do with that money? Do you even have the financial knowledge of managing that money? So I sat down and I said, I must be different. And it has to start with me. And I also don't want to walk this journey alone. I would love to work with my fellow colleagues. I would love to work with young nurses just like me who aspire to be more. And that is when I started writing on LinkedIn, just saying that nurses can be anything, and anything that a nurse wants to be, they can be. And this led me to meet with nurses who are thriving in very novel that are thriving in novel fields. Talk of forensic nursing. Talk of some of them are advanced nurse practitioners in the country. Others are clinical nurse specialists. Others are nurse educators. And even we had a chance of meeting a nurse who is currently working as a biostatistician and a researcher. So I sat down with them and I learned a lot from them. And their journey, to tell you, it's nothing compared to what ourselves are. Remember, yourself or I, maybe we have started from a degree level, so we have a BSN. Some of them, they never started from BSN. Some of them started from the very, very basic level, that is the enrolled nurses. And right now, Some of them they have already done their doctorate, and some of them have their masters. Some of them are even helping medical students in other countries medical students who are doing their master's level in their research. For example, the biostatistician. So I felt motivated and I felt encouraged, and I said, I'm not going to sit with this knowledge. I have the access to these people. I can organize a platform where we can sit with these people and they can tell us their stories and we can learn from them. And in March this year, we had our very first event, and every person I have mentioned was present. And I'll tell you, if you're finding one role, remember the other thing is nurses also are having challenges finding jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So you are done with school, you have done internship, but now you have your degree, but what else? You're stuck at your parents' home, or you're just in your small bed sitter. What are you going to do? So it shows hope to nurses that a nurse who started at a basic level as an enrolled nurse in a very remote area in Kenya or Nigeria, they are now leading an institution teaching students, both nursing and medical students, and their basic and their genesis was a nursing certificate. So even you yourself, you're better. You have a degree, you have a diploma, so there's much more to do that one can be. But I've also sat down with nurses, and they're asking me, how do we do it? How do I venture from bedside to another role? And now that is where currently we are working with the same people and even other people, so that we are able to chart a path, like a guidance or a manual where one can follow into the specific profession that we are. So I still understand there's a lot of work to be done. What we have been writing a lot on LinkedIn needs to be put in action, and that is where currently I am, because I myself also want to thrive in bedside roles. So I have to lead from the front, and also as I am leading the nurses, I also have to show them how to do it, not just write about it.
That's such an incredible and a big movement, I must comment. Like, it just explains in summary that nurses can be anything they want to be if you actually have that, that dream, that initiative within you. You don't have to be stuck at the bedside. Not like the bedside is bad, that is the foundation, but then nursing is actually the launch part. Like, it launches us into so many things, so many initiatives that we can actually do and embark on. Thank you so much for sharing that experience. Yes.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the reality, something that nurses actually go through a lot. And we have comments about it. We have people talking about it. But let's hear your own view. That's about burnout. What do you think? How do you personally deal with burnout? How would how have you ever navigated burnout stage? How did you do it? How can you help someone who is actually going through that stage? Yes.
Okay, great. Now, anyone who is a nurse, I will not talk about other healthcare professionals. Let me just focus on nursing and nurses, because we are all nurses. And I'll tell you one thing, burnout is everywhere. I have been a victim, and maybe at some point you have experienced burnout. Yeah. And there's no secret to burnout. You'll go for a shift. The workload is a lot. Maybe even the ratios are okay, but the patients are working is a lot. So burnout is it. Burnout is going to be there. Or you're working shift to shift. That is maybe 3 night shifts or 4 night shifts. By the end of the shifts, you're going to feel the burnout. So there's no shortcut, or there's no way of escaping burnout. You're going to experience it. But I'll start from a personal level. One of the best ways of navigating burnout is when you're working. There are various modalities of nursing management or nursing modalities that we talked about. Like there's the primary care, there's the patients that need total nursing, there's where you're working as a team. Now it draws down to the team. If your team is collaborative and you are able to share out roles among yourselves, that is going to ensure that nobody is going to be fatigued. Remember, when the ratio is being done or the allocation is being done, one can have an unfair allocation. Maybe they have 2 heavy patients, and maybe another patient is having 3 patients, but they are not heavy. Now, how do you distribute that workload? So that's the first thing. If institutions or if individuals, the teams can learn to work as a team, it is going to help with navigating burnout. That is one thing. So the distribution of work during shifts. The other thing is if your institutions have allowed you to take breaks, kindly take your break. If the lunch hour is one break, is a 1 hour break, and maybe you don't have anything to do, allocate yourself that break. If your institution says you must take a break after every 4 hours, kindly take a break, go refresh yourself, take a drink, hydrate a lot, use the bathroom. Nurses are known of not using holding their bladder. So use the bathroom, refresh if you ought to. So that is taking breaks in between shifts.
Yeah.
But I also understand that their shifts, even taking a glass of water or even dashing for a pee is not possible. So that might not work for everyone. The other thing is don't do shift to shift if one of the shift is a locum. If maybe you have done shifts and your body is already feeling fatigued and worn out, you can say, I'll not take this locum, I will rest for 1 day and then I'll take the other locums. I know everyone is looking for money, but remember the biggest asset you have as a nurse is your health and is your well-being. Your body needs to be functioning well, that is physically, mentally, and at all levels. So allow yourself to take breaks, to take a rest. Don't go for work on an overtime when you're supposed to be resting. Give yourself that rest. That rest is needed for your body. The other thing is nurses need to learn how to say no. I know some institutions, they're going to fire you. I was having a similar conversation with a nurse from Malawi, and they were telling me if one is being called to work, especially in these hospitals that are owned by Asians, the Indians, and you don't show up, and maybe it's your day off, they're going to fire you. So we need to learn to say no. If it is your off day and you're feeling fatigued, say no. You're going to fall and you're going to die. And no sooner are you buried, your role will be advertised. So we also have to show ourselves great love and great care for ourselves, so that we are even able to take care of our patients. So let us learn to say no. And this also calls for institutions. If one is on their off day, please, if it is not a mandatory for them to come, don't call them. You are not even supposed to call them. Ensure that you have safe working ratios, because when we talk about quality care or quality patient care, it starts with safe ratios. When you talk of medical errors, why are they happening? Maybe they are happening because nurses are tired, and so institutions ought to learn to have safe working ratios. So that is all about burnout. And one thing, I've been at a place where I did not rest, and when my body told me I need to rest, I found myself in a hospital bed. So we need to learn to rest. When you feel you're fatigued, please don't take that shift. If it's not your regular shift, don't take it. And even if it's your regular shift and you feel you're not able to work, to perform efficiently, communicate. Communicate. Ask somebody to step in or ask for a switch from your manager. So burnout is there, but there's a lot that we can do at a personal level, but also there are things that the institutions, the healthcare institutions and the Ministry of Health in our respective countries need to do. Safe ratios is one of the things that they need to start with, because if you have adequate staff, then your patients are well taken off. The number of sick calls or sick days in the hospitals, they go down, and also the turnover in the healthcare institution gets to go low, because nurses, they're getting satisfied in what they are doing and they're not getting burnout. So for me, that is how I approach burnout. It is an ongoing discussion, and maybe I would also love to hear for you, how have you dealt with burnout, or how are you still dealing with burnout?
I think that even brings, I think I'll start with a question that says, okay, if the nurse is sick, who takes care of the nurse? So that means as nurses, we need to prioritize our health, because we cannot pour out from an empty cup. So self-care is very, very important. I think it starts from caring for yourself, knowing, like you mentioned, knowing when to say no, knowing that this is your capacity, this is your limit, right? Everyone has their own strength. So maybe if someone can take double shift, if someone can stretch to a certain capacity, that doesn't mean that is the same for you. So know when to say no, know when to actually prioritize self-care. Very, very important. So now, I'm sure there is a young African nurse right now that is listening to this and watching you. Now, what would you say to this nurse who feels stuck, right? And they feel like, okay, I've been trained to be at the bedside. This is what I went to school for. This is what I went through nursing education for. So how can I be able to, go into health tech? How can I be able to explore other opportunities beyond the bedside? I'm scared, right? I'm stuck. What should I do? So what is your advice to that young African nurse who feels stuck right now? And you need to encourage them that they can actually take a step beyond the bedside. And going beyond the bedside doesn't mean you're running away from nursing or healthcare.
Yeah. Okay, great. That is a question that I get a lot. How do I do it? And also that's also another question I have found myself asking myself. I'm telling nurses to go beyond bedside. I'm telling them build a brand. But the main question is not telling them, because they are going to hear, and not even hear. Most of them, that's what they want to do or they're aspiring to do. So the main question is, how do I do? How do I do it? And this is something that I am still building. I am still trying to navigate around it. But recently, I think there's one of my posts that I made a few days ago, and this is one of the questions that I highlighted. And I was just sitting, trying to make it very practical, very real, taking into consideration that some of us, we are coming from places, even when I tell them, you can go back to schools and maybe do a master's in policy or in public health, but they are asking, do you know how much it costs? And they'll tell me there are bills to be paid, there are mouths to be fed. So how do I do it? The one of the ways one can do it, it's to start from a very, very, very simple platform. The first question one needs to ask themselves: what exactly do I want to do? Am I running from the bedside because maybe I am tired of the bedside, or are you looking for career fulfillment? And most of them, they'll say they're looking for career fulfillment. So that question, in most cases, is always answered, but one needs to ask themselves, why am I leaving the bedside nursing, bedside space, or the clinical settings? So that is one of the questions that one needs to ask themselves, and they need to answer themselves truthfully. Don't do it just because everyone is doing it. Exactly. Just don't do it because a nurse has done it and they're already thriving. Remember, we are all very unique, and whatever I thrive in, maybe it's something that I like. Maybe one thrives in teaching, and they becomes a nurse educator. And now you want to be a nurse educator. You are leaving the bedside, you are leaving the patients, and now you have to deal with students, and now you need to deal with lesson plans. Are you ready for that? Answer that question honestly to yourself, because it's only you who knows how to do it. So the other thing is starting small, or what we say, start with micro skilling. If there are free courses that you can do, let's say it's wound care. Maybe you want to do home health services, maybe, and you don't have the funds to set up a whole home health company. You can start small. You can start by doing a free a wound care course, or shadowing a nurse who is a wound specialist nurse or an IV specialist nurse. And they are going slowly to introduce you to the skills of wound care, the products of wound care, how to assess wounds, when to know the wound is healing, when to call for specialized care, maybe from a surgeon, such things. So that even when you're going to do that wound care at home, you have the skills, you have the knowledge, and you have the confidence. So that is one thing. The other thing is, not everyone finds fulfillment by leaving the bedside. So ask yourself, what else can I do when I'm still in bedside? We have seen nurses who have grown to be clinical instructors, but they're still in the bedside. There are still roles that you can thrive within the bedside. Clinical instructors is one of them, among others. And the other thing one can do is now look for the space you want to be. Do you want to be in clinical completely? So are you going to policy? Are you going to global health? Are you going to NGOs or community initiatives? One has to have a definitive plan of what to do. And that leads us to the very first question. So there are still roles micro skilling by getting the small skills, getting the doing those small courses here and there, shadowing nurses who are already thriving. Problem. So one has to be very truthful. I know my answer might not be very straight. It may be vague, but one can keep running on my LinkedIn page just to learn more. Problem. So one have.
So the next question will be, what will be your final words to? It could be a nurse, it could be to any health professional, or anyone, even in any career path, who is listening, watching you, or reading the article, right? What would be your final words? It could be a philosophy that you live by. It could be life lessons that has shaped your career path, that has shaped your journey in life. What would be your final words for such people?
But the main question today, when I'm seated here, the main question that is always in my mind is, God willing, I live up to 50 years, maybe 50 years from now. What that I would want to have done for myself? What would people want? What would you want people to know you about? And this is one question that guides me every day when I'm feeling like I am maybe derailing from my goals. That is the same question I ask myself. What would my 75 years old remembered for, or want to be remembered about myself, now for the community? So this is one question. If your fulfillment is in bedside, what would people want? I've already found the career fulfillment that we are talking about, so that's fine for you. But if you're hungry enough, when we started, nurses can be anything. If you have the hunger, the drive, and the motive, you can be anything. We have stayed there nurses that started at a basic level, but students at master's level, they are there teaching them, So this should be always be a motive. If you want to move forward, look for the route to move forward. Ask the right people. Maybe that nurse who has been in the hospital for 50 for 25, their knowledge and they have their wisdom in their own way. But if you ask them about digital health, they don't have the knowledge about digital health. So you will be asking the right questions, but are you asking the right person?
Yeah.
The other thing is put yourself out there. If my profile was not a recruiter called me and invited me for an interview into the health tech company, I wouldn't be knowing what I know today. So put yourself outside there. If there are events or networking events, if there are seminars, if there are abstracts that are being called for, be there. Let people know what you do. Let people know your skills. Shout about them. There's no grace in keeping quiet. There's no grace of saying you're not going to show off. No, no one is going to know that you're the best in wound care, or you're the best in electrical, in EHR or EMR programs when you're not talking about them. And with the dawn of AI that is all over, we have seen AI coming in. Learn about AI. See how you can integrate your nursing skills and AI, because we are seeing nurses that today are working remotely. They're not doing bedside roles, but what they are doing is they are being sent information for about maybe health data information for them to analyze, so that they can train AI models. You see, and they're being paid good money, and all they need is the skill, maybe the AI skill. So let us also learn about AI skills. Technology is all over. We have seen a nurse who is a biostatistician, to the point that they are teaching R language, which is one of the programming languages. One of the programming languages in computer science. For them, just because they were nurse, they were not limited to nursing alone. They explored and they expanded their horizon. So that is the same thing. Let us expand our horizons. Let us ask the right questions to the right people. Invest in new technologies that are coming in, new skills that are coming in. Let us not shy off of letting people know what we do. Let us do it. And lastly, let's put ourselves outside there. Put yourself outside there so that people get to know about you. You get to meet, interact, and network. So that is one thing. That is one thing that every nurse, doesn't matter whether you're an early career nurse, maybe you're a seasoned nurse or you're a student nurse, this information cuts across, and I believe it's going to benefit everyone who takes it and even looks for better ways. Maybe whatever I have said is shallow or generalized information, but I believe there's so much. So research, do your research, and search and interact with the right people.
Thank you so much. This is value-packed and incredible advice you've given. And one that stands out the most is putting yourself out there, because no one would know you if you don't, put yourself out there. You have to show the world who you are, what you have to offer, because you have something valuable to offer. Yes. So I believe that a nurse, a young nurse who is watching this or reading this article would actually love to connect with you. So how would a nurse or any health professional or any career person who wants to connect with you, maybe for mentorship opportunities, maybe to actually join the Beyond the Bedside movement, your community, collaborations, how would such a person connect with you? And if you have any courses or any work services that you have to offer that could be beneficial to our audience? Yes.
The main way to reach me would be through my platform. That is on LinkedIn. My name is Job Karwana. There's no specific way of joining the Beyond Bedside nursing. It's open to everyone, so there's no registration fee. Currently, maybe I don't have a course, but that's something we are doing it so that we answer the question, how do we do it? How do I get outside of this bedside nursing? So that is a course we are doing, and once it is ready, we are going to show it and showcase it to everyone, and it will be available for people to take it and train them. I'm available for consultations, for interactions. Anyone who wants to learn from me, they can just reach me on my LinkedIn. so that we get to learn. As much as people ask me a lot of questions, I also learn a lot from them. For nurses in Kenya, we have another event that is upcoming, Beyond Bedsetting event that is coming on 27th of September. We're on the final stages of planning it. And also we have a series of webinars coming up. The first webinar is going to be on 17th of July, It will be on 17th of July from 8 p.m. that is East African time, all the way to 9 p.m. And I welcome everyone to join us. We are going to have one of our mentors and our coach who has become our friend in the profession. He's called Mazangani Muya. And what we are going to be exploring on this webinar is beyond the interview, building a nursing career that grows, pays, and fulfilling. So it's all about strategic career mapping to mastery salary talks. So that will be our very first webinar with our coach and friend Mazangani Muya, who is a HR profession specific with a key interest in the healthcare industry, has been a HR profession in one of the premier hospitals in the country. So I welcome everyone to join us. When you love, you can join us. I'll share more. I'll share the details on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
On Instagram, we are on Instagram. Our handle is Registered Nurses Connect. Join us. It's a big platform and a huge platform where we'll also keep on sharing the updates about the webinars and also to the event that we are going to hold on 27th.
That's one. I'm sure the webinar is going to be a transformative one. Thank you so much for sharing that insight and updates. Thank you once again to Karana for it's such an insightful discussion. And it has not just been valuable to me, I'm sure to every audience who is listening and watching to this have gotten an insight, even if it's just one. Thank you once again for being here. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget there is more coming your way. And I'll be coming again your way with another amazing speaker on the next episode. Until then, stay safe, be inspired. This is 𝐈𝐕 Drips of Wisdom, where we spotlight health professionals who are doing amazing and incredible things beyond the bedside. Bye and take care.